you watch it with him?
What?
The Snuff Film, did you watch it with him?
What the hell are you trying to do?
I'm trying to understand! What the f did he want with the Snuff Film?
You're asking me why?
Yes, why? Why?
And then you think you're gonna get married and you're gonna have a happy family and you're gonna live. Sit down. Shut up and sit down. Sit still. Sit still. Sit still. Shut up.
Jesus loves me, the Bible tells me so.
Sing it.
Yes, Jesus loves me, but the Bible tells me so.
It's a film.
I'm not sure I understand.
It's very realistic, to say the least. Quite violent.
What you seem to be talking about is called a snuff film. From what I know, snuff films are a kind of urban myth. Sex industry folklore. There's no such thing.
All right, so my next guest was rumored to have starred in a snuff film. Well, I don't know, a snuff.
Kristen, the last time I checked, if you star in a snuff film, you don't give any interviews afterwards. That's what I've heard about those snuff films.
Seance. It's a seance. We're
Yeah,
talking to
actually, no, yeah, that's right. You better get the Ouija board. Here comes the time to interview the snuff film victim.
I know all about it. About that girl. 6 years ago. I know what you did to her. You killed her on film. And now you're all fucked.
Okay, so there was this video, this kind of experimental movie that Marilyn Manson, Brian Warner made years ago, and it did have he had a real director brought in, Joseph Coltis.
Correct.
That's right. I'm a huge admirer of yours.
Oh, God, I love flattery.
You're a genius. A goddamn genius.
He had a real director brought in, Joseph Coltis, and there were people there. It wasn't just him and you shooting it, right? But he hired you and paid you when you were in your early 20s to be in this movie.
Correct.
And so anyway, after this movie was made, and it was just an experimental type film, there was a little bit of it that was shown in the documentary Dead to the World. And
Correct. It's in the closing scenes of it, yeah.
Right. So, obviously it's intense. Obviously it's intense and your acting is great.
Well, whoever made the film was adept at authenticity.
Okay, so what happened was after this movie was made, Manson, there were some occasions, I think in particular, maybe one TV appearance where he made some jokes about it and made kind of a flippant comment that someone had said to him that this tape better not get out or he'll get arrested for it.
You're all fucked.
Or whatever. But it's just Manson being outrageous, right?
That's him bantering. That's him being witty is what that is.
Did you get it distributed?
No, because when I showed it to my manager, he said, please hide the masters. If anyone sees it, you'll go to jail and your career will be over. It's not a pornographic film.
I was disturbed.
But that was my independent film.
Imagine that.
Exactly.
You know what, another thing funny I've seen too is like recently, just kind of in the recent past here, I've seen there's been like some noise on the internet, like between like Reddit, TikTok, whatever, of people thinking that I myself am not actually the person who is in the Groupie video. And I mean, apparently like signed declarations from both Manson and me are not enough to actually serve as evidence or whatever that it was me in the video, and people have said, well, she looked different or whatever. But if you watch the Dinner with Five, I guess that's the name of the show, right? You're referring to, isn't it? The interview when they ask Andy Dick about the Groupie video, and he's explaining part of the video, and he says, well, yeah, this young girl comes in and she's really hot and she has this haircut like this, and he like does the physical gesture. And you've got pictures of me when I was working.
Absolutely.
When I was mom. That was my haircut. When he's like, she had the bangs like this and the black hair like that. It's like, okay. It's like, was that like something we went back in time and made Andy Dick say that too, to try to help further bolster the claims of me, even though I'm just secretly somebody that Manson just hired and paid money to lie about it. It's like, no, dude, like how much more evidence do you need? Like Andy Dick's like, he's pantomiming my haircut.
Your hair at the time.
Absolutely. And like every single picture in my modeling book, there I am with what? The hair, you know?
And so you were telling me that you have absolute proof. You have the same jewelry.
Oh, yes, yes, I do. But there was something said about a watch, because in the Groupie film, or in the clip that is at the end of Deadly World, there is a scene where you can see my hands, and you can see my hands on the sides of something.
And we'll show that. We'll show a photo of it.
I actually remember reading somewhere that Ilma Gore, the ex-partner of Ed Richwood, seemed to have like a big sticking point, and I think she had written somebody a letter saying that she was getting to the bottom of the case because she knew that she could identify the victim of Groupie by the jewelry that she was wearing in the film. And so the jewelry that I was wearing in the film actually happened to be like a gift that my father gave me for my 16th birthday. It was this watch right here. Like, oops, here it is. I don't know. That's the watch right there. That's the watch. And you know what's funny is if you can even look at the film, you can tell it's my hands. Like, you know, like skeletons don't change on people. Those are my hands. And that's the watch. It's not Jeanette's watch. It's my watch, because I still have the watch, you know? And actually I was wearing a ring as well, but I actually didn't want to put it on because back when I was a model, I was so skinny that I could put it on that finger. I can't fit it on that finger anymore. But the ring I was wearing was a very short run niche designer ring. I think there was like 3 or 5 of them made, you know? And this is entirely for the benefit of the gossip crowd, because ultimately there's no question as to whether or not it's me and Groupie, because in court they can actually just watch the film.
Wait a minute, that's the same girl. Isn't that the same girl? Look.
But for the people out there speculating, I would like to save you some time and energy.
But there are some people who, especially in the media, who have constructed this false idea of Manson, that he is this horrible monster, master manipulator, like some kind of diabolical psychopath from a movie.
What'd you expect, a monster?
When really,
you know, as far as the projections of the media goes, the media has actually also taken the time and energy to actually describe me as a helpless victim, and to ascribe these kind of characteristics to me, which I thoroughly do not appreciate, because I absolutely don't identify in any way, shape, or form today, nor back then, with any of that.
Right. So, you know, I think one of the things that is just so crazy about this urban legend that's grown up around this movie is that it wasn't just a myth or a legend, but it actually became a central claim in several of the lawsuits against Manson, against Brian Warner.
Doe alleged the artist subjected her to degrading acts and psychological abuse. That included being shown Groupie in 2011, which he considered the highest honor of trust. Amidst the events previously known, she introduces some new elements, such as Manson possibly pistol whipping the victim. Jane Doe was reportedly so frightened that she feared for her own safety. She began to look for exits in case she needed to escape, but even as she began to cry, he insisted they watch until the end. Once it was over, Doe repeatedly asked Manson if the young girl was dead, but he wouldn't answer. This led her to believe the victim had been murdered.
There were several lawsuits against Manson by various false accusers, various women involved in this hoax.
What are you talking about?
All right, look, Max, I'm sure you realize these people we're dealing with, they're extremely disturbed.
And they talked about being forcibly shown this video, this horribly traumatizing video where they see an underage or young underage looking fan being abused on camera. And they're talking about you. You weren't underage. You were paid. You had a great time. It was very professional. Yeah. There was a director.
Honestly, it was really fun. It was super fun. And like basically like it wasn't like, oh, we made this film and then we never spoke again. It was like, no, we went out like to, I think, the Rainbow that night. And like, when we went home and like watched TV and listened to like Iron Maiden records and stuff, like everything was cool because it was making make believe. That's all,
Is that it? That's it. Bravo.
And it just makes me so frustrated and weirded out. Oh, and I have to answer, and I have to say it for my own like benefit. No, I didn't drink urine in the movie at all. Sorry. And if you're gonna think that him and I were both just hanging out drinking pee together, like, no, that's not what happened.
Hey, so it sounds like a cool thing to me to be hanging out drinking pee with a rock star. What do you mean?
Right. It's just gonna be a fun time. That's just a typical Friday, just hanging out drinking urine, man.
Oh my God. On that note, no. So this movie, I guess, Pola, what I wanted to ask you is like, how do you think this got to be such a ridiculous, blown out of proportion thing? I mean, like, I understand that there was the TV appearance, the dinner thing with Andy Dick, and that Manson put that story out there and everything. But like, it's just crazy. It's crazy to me that an entire police investigation was solved by this.
The police investigation, we know where that came from. That came from somewhere different than where the urban myth came from. Because the police investigation came from Ilma and Evan and what they were saying. And the urban myth thing, I would actually ascribe that to the fact that Manson is a very smart guy. And I think he has always had the ability to market himself in the way he saw was most effective, however that may be. And I think that's basically a tribute to basically how good he is at his business, honestly, was that it was able to be this thing that you kind of handed to the fans and let them take it, pick it up, and give it a life of its own, which is what it was. The rumor,
Right.